What's going on, Chopstick Gang? It's your boy Barber Jase, back with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. Big up to all the barbers around the world watching this right now. I appreciate all of you guys supporting me. Also, if you're wondering why there's so many balloons in the studio, big thank you to my girlfriend Angela, who organised a special 10k surprise party a couple weeks back. But let's jump straight into the video. I got man like Calvin in the chair. I got my boy man like Derek, the director, working his magic. And for this haircut, we are going for a drop fade. But we're starting off cutting the top first. I'm spraying it down, making sure it's fully saturated. And right here, I'm combing the hair back and I'm pinching my profile line, making sure it's nice and clean. Combing the hair that I'm not cutting away from the section. And I'm pulling the profile line straight up, checking the previous shape. And as you can see, the fringe is slightly shorter than the rest. So we're going to use the front as a guide. I'm only going to cut a little bit off the fringe and I'm going to angle my fingers so it's slightly shorter behind the fringe. This will make it easier for the hair to sit back, and that's the shape I'm going for. So I'm going to cut my layers using vertical sections, which will allow me to have that graduation and elevation, keeping the front longer. So I'm cutting the profile line all the way to the back, and behind the apex I'm going to start to round it, rounding my fingers and following the head shape. After that, I'm going to cut my second section, which is parallel to the profile line, and I'm cutting it on the right side of the profile line. I should be able to see my guide from the back, which is right there, and I'm just following my guide, pulling the hair straight up, and I'm trying to not over direct, otherwise I'm going to start getting different lengths. So make sure you pull it straight up. Don't pull it towards or away from your body. Always follow your guide from behind. If you don't see your guide, don't cut. You should see a guide from your previous section, also from behind, so you should have two guides to follow. Here's another view. Hopefully you can see the guide easier. And now I'm cutting the left side of the profile line. So following the same sectioning pattern, parallel to the profile line, but this time, as you can see, I'm using the comb and I'm combing it away from me before I cut it. This will give me better tension as the section that I'm cutting is on the left side of the profile line. This is really important when you're doing vertical sections to get even tension. So right here, I'm just pulling the fringe down while it's wet, and I'm just going to take the tips off to give it some shape. And before I dry it into style, I'm just going to cross check it to make sure the shape is good. When I'm cross checking, I'm looking for bits that I've missed. Also, I'm checking the shape to see if it's balanced. You should only be dusting off, making very minor adjustments. If you've missed a big chunk out, then go back to your section and follow your guide. Spraying a little bit of sea salt spray before drying it into style. So a quick little breakdown on how I blow dry. I always start off with the sides. It's usually between the clipper work and the scissor work, the connection area. I blow dry that into style first on the left side and right side. The sides are like the wall of the haircut. The sides are going to support the length on top. After that, I'm going to work from the back and finishing off at the front, where I'm going to create some volume, and then afterwards smoothing everything into position. And if you've cut your layers correctly, it should sit nicely. So now let's get into the fade. Using a number 3, we're going to start removing some bulk. When I get to the curvature, I'm going to use my comb to feed the hair into the clippers, and that should create a nice weight line for me to work from. After doing that, I just go over it to refine and to smoothing it out, trying to blend it in as much as I can into the top before cleaning them off, moving on to my placement line. So we're going for a drop fade, yeah? So this is probably the most important part of the haircut to make it into a drop fade. I'm going to drop it like it's hot, drop it towards the front hairline, which is going to give the front hairline a darker, stronger shape. So I usually stop my placement line just behind the ear before starting from the back and connecting it straight into that. As you can see, I'm using my trimmers. I'm going straight in with the trimmers, which gives me more control to create different shapes. So doing the same thing on the other side, and as you can see, I'm dropping it at the back as well. It's called a drop fade. We dropped it at the front, so we might as well drop it at the back. So going in now with my foils, and I'm keeping it nice and low, just around the hairline. Don't take it too high, otherwise you're going to end up taking your fade higher. So before I start fading, I'm just going to clip away the fringe, just to make my work a little bit cleaner. And I'm going to go in with my 0.5 guideline. I started my 0.5 guideline just before the front hairline. I wanted to keep the front hairline quite dark, so I just left that till the end to fade out. I'm pushing this up about half an inch, maybe just a bit more than a centimeter, making sure you can see the difference between the 0 and the 0.5. So now going in with my one open, doing the exact same thing, taking it up about half an inch. I'm going to create my next guideline. This is my normal way of fading by creating a 0.5 and a one open guideline. This allows me to keep my fades more balanced and more consistent. The more guidelines, the more consistent your work will be, but as a beginner it might be a bit hard to keep track on where you are. You might get lost in the fade, but if you keep your work nice and clean, you can't go wrong. So now going back with my two open and closed, I'm just going to make sure everything above the one open is a 2, and that will allow me now to use my 1.5 guard to blend out that top guideline. Working down with my guards, going back with my number 1 guard, open and closed. I'm going to start working down, fading out all the lines. Big up to all the Chopstick gang, all the original OG subscribers, all the new subscribers and all the non-subscribers. Make sure you hit that like button and comment down below of what you think of the haircut, and let me know what you guys want to see in the future. But thank you to everyone again. We just hit 13k subscribers. This is a madness. I appreciate all of you guys from the bottom of my heart. Chopstick gang. So now using the 0.5 guard, I'm using a lot of corners because of the shape of the placement line. Also behind the ear where the head starts to curve. You don't want to go into the curvature, so you need to use the corners to get rid of that darkness. On this right side here, it was a bit difficult. I think I had to go back with the number 1 later on to get rid of it. But the fade's getting there. It's only got one more visible line and some refining work to do. So now using no guard, slowly opening my lever, using the corner of my clipper to remove that line. Because that line is so curved at the front, I'm going to start fading out that line. This is probably the most detailed part of the fade, so really take your time, concentrate, focus, let's get it. So guys, what do you think of this haircut? What do you guys prefer? A drop fade or taper fade? Let me know down in the comments below which one you prefer. So now I'm just going back with my guards, picking out little dark spots, refining my work to make that fade extra blurry. It's always good to spend the extra 5 minutes to refine your work to take it to the next level. So now I'm just going to line up the front hairline using my Barber Jase Gold FX, and as you can see when I'm lining up, I'm always resting the back of my middle finger or any of the fingers on the skin for more stability, and I can use that as an anchor point to pivot. When doing the curved C-cut, I always create a guide at the top first before starting from the sideburn and then connecting it into that guide. You don't want to take that too high, you still want to keep it quite natural. But as you can see, the drop fade has given that front hairline some darkness. I think it looks pretty cool. It doesn't suit all haircuts, but for this haircut it looks calm. So now doing a bit of clipper over comb to remove a little bit of weight. Then finishing it off with some scissor over comb. I still need to make a basic barbering breakdown on scissor over comb coming soon. Stay tuned. So I'm just dusting it off, trying to make that blend nice and smooth, making sure I comb the hair down to reset it after every section. You want your comb to move slow and your scissors should be moving fast to get a nice smooth blend. At the front here, the fringe is hanging over, it looks slightly disconnected, so I'm just point cutting it, chopping a bit of texture into it and picking it up to check the shape to make sure nothing's hanging over and it's connected in nice and tight. Same on the other side. I'm going to comb that fringe into the sides and I should be able to see any hairs hanging over. I'm just going to chop it in so the fringe sits back a little bit tighter into the sides. Now time to give the top a little bit of texture. This will give your haircut some movement. It will make it easier for the client to style himself, and especially with Asian hair, it's very straight and it doesn't have much movement and texture. Some good old texturizing should sort that out. So we are reaching the end of the haircut. I'm just going to point cut some texture using scissor over comb, just around the back so it doesn't sit as heavy. And that is it. We are looking good, guys. What do you guys think? It's time to style my man up. Also shout out to the Antisocial Barber Club from your man the Pissed Off Barber. Follow him on Instagram if you want to see some jokes, barbering banter. So now I'm just using a bit of pomade to give it that wet look finish. I normally think a wet look looks better on the Asian hair. It makes the hair look darker, gives the fade more contrast, and it doesn't make it look as dry and lifeless. So using my pompadour comb and spraying a bit of hairspray to lock it in, making sure it's sitting nicely for them finishing shots. As you can see here, Calvin's looking well happy. Look at him. Cheer up, mate. But if you guys forgot, that was the before. He was definitely looking rough and neglected. And cheese, look at that. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Stay fresh, stay faded, stay blessed. It's your boy Barber Jase, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.